A powerful question to ask yourself every time you feel anxious. What the hell am I worrying about? Man, in the moment, you don't want to worry, but you can't stop doing it. Sometimes, telling ourselves not to worry doesn't work at all. It's easy to tell ourselves, oh, don't worry, but we don't really have control over whether we can worry or not worry in the moment. It's easy to look back 5 years ago and look at those problems and tell ourselves that, well, it's ridiculous that we will worry at that time too much. But how can we, as human beings, stop worrying in the moment? What I have figured out, the most effective way to stop worrying is to ask yourself this question. What the hell am I worrying about? This question really puts everything into perspective. The things that we are worrying right now are not that important as we make it out to be. That final exam that you are worrying whether you're able to do it or not, a year from now, it won't matter anymore. That rejection that you got from yesterday is not that important anymore after a week later. That complaint from a customer about your service won't really matter in a month, even in a few days. That gossip from a friend that you trusted may not be a problem a year from now. That interview you thought you totally screwed up won't really matter when you find another job a month from now. That argument with a coworker, with a spouse, with your parents won't mean anything much a year from now. Even with the finance, you think to yourself that, man, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to pay the bill this month? You are all worried about everything, finding all possible way to pay the bill. But it's really a year from now. You may find it so ridiculous that you worry so much in this moment. Isn't that so funny that when we look at things from a future perspective, it doesn't really matter much anymore, right? Because it is true. Most things don't really matter at all. Our minds are not so good at identifying what really truly matter in the moment, and it give attention to the wrong things in the moment. I know, funny how things always work out in the end, but it's so difficult to see it in the moment. We worry about the past, the present, and the future, but things always end up working out in the end. Maybe not in the way that you want it, but in a way that it was meant to be. We all know that worry does nothing to improve a current situation, except causing more anxiety and headache. But for some reason, our brain often puts the importance on the small stuff that won't really matter in the future. That's why it's so important that when you notice yourself worrying, ask yourself, a year from now, will this problem still matter? Mostly not. 99.9% of the problem you encounter will not matter in the long run. You have to keep this in mind all the time. 99.9% of the problem won't really matter. That's when you start noticing yourself worrying. Ask yourself a question. What the hell am I worrying about? Will this problem matter a year from now? Because I don't think telling yourself to stop worrying will actually work. I highly doubt it. Oftentimes you find it ridiculous. You find it bullshit. But by asking yourself the right questions, that will help smooth your feelings and emotions. If you know in advance that most problems that you are facing right now won't really matter in the future, so may as well laugh in the moment when you screw up, when you make mistakes, when you fail, when you don't do it right, when you lose in the moment. Because you know that it won't really matter in the long run. So what the hell are you worrying about? And this is not intended to not doing anything with your life and just do whatever. No, that's not what I mean. The intention of this episode is to be gentle, to let yourself loose, to relax, to enjoy yourself when you take yourself so seriously, to have fun when life seems really serious, to get the peace and calmness back to you again. That's the intention of this episode. Because I believe that when we worry so much, we lose our focus. We do what's really important to us. We forget to enjoy the moment. We forget that the only moment that ever existed is this moment. Not 5 minutes ago, not 5 minutes later, but in this moment. For some reason, as a human being, we can't help but worry more often than we should. And like I said, telling ourselves not to worry often doesn't help. Do you really know why we worry? We worry because we want certainty from the future. The thing is, we have the need in our DNA is to want to know in advance. And when we don't, we get anxious and start worrying. And the solution for this is to simply learn to let go of the need to know, to be frank with the uncertainty, to be okay with whatever outcome you may receive, to be okay with the unknowns, to be okay with not knowing. I know it's hard, but it's come with the awareness, to be conscious of your thoughts. And another big thing is to have faith. Faith is really the best remedy to solve any worry. It's like there's a quote that said, you either worry or have faith, but you can't do both. Having faith doesn't mean that you won't have problems. You won't have to go through trials and tribulations. No. It simply means that even when all of those chaos happen, you'll still have peace and be okay in the end. That's what having faith means, to have peace and to be okay with whatever outcome that may happen. That's what having faith means, to be okay, to have peace, even during the chaos, even during the storms. My friend, realize that worry won't really prevent the bad things from happening. It just stops you from enjoying the good in the moment. When you notice yourself worrying about the future, shift your focus to worry about the opportunities and valuable time in the moment. Because if you keep worrying about the future, you accidentally forget about the moment. You forget the only time that you ever have is in this moment. And the only opportunities that you ever have is also in this moment. The future is not promised. So do your future self a favor by enjoying this moment. And every time you start noticing yourself worrying, ask yourself these two questions. Will this problem matter a year from now? And the most powerful question, what the hell are you worrying about? Hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you found it valuable, please take a moment of your time to leave ratings and reviews. That will help this channel a lot. And if you have any question or comment that you want to share, feel free to email me. And until next time, thank you.